Everybody. My name is Lenore Von Stein, and this is another episode of The Facts. And with me tonight is Andrew Bolotowsky and Bern Nix, and we're going to ruminate on the upper class and its effect on me, or the class system and its effect on me, you know, and in the way I think about myself. And I've been trying to take this apart. I think I don't know how successful I've been. I've been quite frustrated with it, but. Professor Bill Crain and Professor Alan Feigenberg. Both of these people work at City College. Bill is in psychology, and Alan is in architecture. I was so angry when I saw this place with the horrible. I grew up in a housing project. Reminded me very much of some of those things with like the brick that just not brick but big things of concrete that had just painted over, and many leaks had happened, and there was then the chairs were broken, and I turned to the people I was working for and I think this is one of the few things that got me fired. There was a list of them, and I said, how can you expose these families to this? How can you expose these children to this? What do you don't? This is terrible. Yeah. This is and they didn't want to hear that at all. But it how does physical environment affect? Oh, you always blame every other people, right? Anyway, one thing I'm going to start with is that I can't measure the size of my depth. I mean, I'm worried about that. I'm embarrassed by it. There's so much to me, and yet I'm so silly. And I'm sensitive, very sensitive to the world around me, but I'm ignorant of it. And I'm energetic, I'm tired, and I'm unfocused. So I lost my train of thought. Oh, so nice to see that. So nice to. Wouldn't it be nice if you could see that? Would you like to see that? What is it? And how are things cross-referenced? And one thing, you know, things don't stand on their own. Cause and effect, at the very least. If you kill me, I don't know what I am going to do. There's a British study that says that people who live in Britain on the streets die about 30 years younger than people who live in their homes. So,
that's just another piece of the puzzle. I don't live on the streets, but how is my body and mind affected by where I do live, how I do live? I mean, it can't be unaffected by it. Shabish, 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 shabish to bishi de batu, shabish to away.
It's still, though, highly manicured. It's not the real exciting natural environment that is.
Yeah, it's very French.
I've been pulled away from myself by being afraid to tell the truth. And I don't think this is native to me. I think that it's where I'm living. I think it's a product of the culture that I developed in. If you put me someplace else, grew up in some other situation, of course I'd be different. Debbie said to PCB to pass you negotiate this and negotiate that. How do I handle this one and that one? And I forget who I am, what little I knew about it. It's not that I ever knew. But you don't have to know. It's not something you have to know. It's not something you know. It's just something you are.
Yeah, it's not the wild, which is, I think, the most inspirational when the kids discover things. And
one part of the story, the tale of, if there is such a me in the upper classes, must start with my parents in the upper classes and their parents, and the attitudes and ideas, passed to me. I'll take that one. I got that. I'll take that one. I got that one. You got that one. I got that one. You got that one. You got that one. I got that one. I got that one. Okay. I got that one. Okay. It's. I got that one. That's what it is. That's okay. Yeah, I got it. That's what a good person is. That's what a bad person is. That's valuable. That's not so valuable. It's cute, though.
There's like a fear of it. And
Nature makes sense, right? And it would have to be a really good landscape architect to make something really as wonderful. I remember going to this arts colony, and at this arts somewhere upstate, and I couldn't believe how bad the landscaping was. They had all these phony rocks and all these phony, and it was so poorly done. It hurt.
Yeah.
And this was an arts colony.
What would it be like if I was someplace else? More friendly situation. What would I have to trade off for that? Or, would I?
The messages that people get from these hospitable or inhospitable physical environments, from these physical environments that make sense. I mean, a tree always makes sense.
Totally dumb down the
population,
get them ready to work at Walmart.
The
or
goal
McDonald's.
is to synchronize the education system with the economy. We have an economy that is creating low-wage jobs requiring a 7th or 8th grade education. You can't have an educational system that's sending everybody to college.
Well, test-driven education, you create widgets, standardized tests, standardized minds.
And you don't care if they graduate.
Makes your skin crawl, like these people are uncooked, and a person to be, a person not to be. So ruthless and ignorant. I had to leave the room. I had to find the door. So unkind.
And I've been through a couple of these school trainings to kind of eviscerate your private world, which is really all you have to offer other people.
There's no assessment of creativity or independent thinking. There's never been a test that measures the ability to think for oneself, let alone creativity, social capacity to think morally. All these issues.
And that's the reason that schools that serve upper middle class, affluent communities, they don't have a problem with the test scores, do they?
No, they just,
so they're able to focus on material that encourages the kids to think critically, so they'll go to the elite schools, they'll go to the elite
That's
schools,
interesting.
and hardly anybody else is going to go to college.
There's a certain sometimes creativity in the rebellious kid, I think. What do you do? I mean, as a teacher, I think mostly I get mad when they're rebellious, but you're making me think maybe I got to rethink that. I remember while you guys were talking, I remember the second day of school, we moved into the suburb Teaneck, New Jersey, and I was called in for a parent conference immediately. And my son had written, as a fifth grader, he'd drawn a cartoon during math class, and he had three of his friends, and it was some joke. It was supposed to be humorous, and it was this. And she sat down, the teacher, and said, "What do you think of? Look at that." This was during class, and I said, "Yeah," and like I didn't understand. She didn't know. An unusual parent, I guess. She didn't understand I didn't see what was so bad about his drawing. It looked like a pretty interesting cartoon. But there's...
She thought he was not paying attention?
Yeah, he thought it deserved a parent conference. I was called in. I thought there was something really bad, that he'd hit another kid, or he'd stolen something, or he'd drawn a cartoon. The pressure to toe the line and conform. How do you deal with it when the students are...
Which is the reason that tuition is being raised at CUNY. You think it's an accident? This is the neoliberal project in the rest of the world. Impose higher fees for college, for higher education, to keep most people out, so that only a narrow stratum of the population is going to go to college. So whenever we hear about these international test scores, I think we need to keep in mind that this is rhetoric that is used in this country to mask the reality of an increasingly stratified society that needs an increasingly stratified education system.
It's our money. It's not my money. It's our money. I mean, other people made it paying little for other people's labor while paying themselves a lot for their name, for their phone call, for their labor. My name is worth a lot. Well, do you have to take that much for it? I mean, you got no sense of right and wrong here? Got no sense of balance? You can, so you do? That's not a good enough explanation. Daya so potapito, daya so bopapito, daya so bopapito tito, baya sito pa, dapa tita paco. I can buy this company, put these people out of work, and make a lot of money. That's not a good thing to do. I can sell cigarettes to teenagers. That's not a good thing to do. Over the rainbow, into the woods.
Right. At City College, they get into debates on which math should come first, which should come second, as if there is it doesn't follow any. Yeah.
Do you know that when science is taught, you have biology, chemistry, and physics in high school?
Yes.
Do you know why that's sequence?
No.
It's alphabetical.
Oh,
That's the rationale. There was differences among scientists of what basis, and if you think about it, I think about it, the logic is physics should be first because that's the most concrete, that's our everyday dealings. But it was alphabetical.
It makes us sleepy, you know, we're sleepy when we're crafty. We're sleepy because we're crafty.
You were saying before we started the show that there's a lot of imitation, and to be different is threatening in some ways to the art world.
One of the things that, you know, when in the teaching of arts, for instance, let's just say in the using of arts in school, how can you if the kids are not allowed to deal with things that actually interest them, and that includes, you know, bad-mouthing you or whatever, you know, that includes taking on authority, then how are they ever going to get to I remember when I was in the 4th grade, I drew a picture of some nuns, and I was so frightened for so long to draw this picture that had been in my mind. And it was such a wonderful release when I drew this picture and the sky didn't fall in, you know.
If I understand you, the real purpose is to dumb down the...
Yes, the real purpose
the rhetoric is to complain about it, but the real purpose is to dumb
totally.
down.
But I overstepped. I understepped. I didn't go at all. I wasn't there. I was in the store. I was in the street. I was finding a house, a wangle, a wongle, a wongle, a wingle, a wongle, a songle, a dongle, a bongle.
A student of mine said to me the other day, "Oh yeah, I like that part where we were all arguing. That's the stuff," he said. That's the stuff.
Added to, as I developed these strategies for developing a workable, sane strategies for dealing with who I am, you know, within the context that I find myself, and getting ahead, because I'm very ambitious, dealing with my ambitions. But, you know, these solutions have to be things that keep me sane, you know, and in dealing with the rigors of the game, they often seem, the rigors, R-I-G-G-E-R-S, they often seem dangerous, confused, and as well as ill-informed. So how do you come up with something good? And we're getting to the end here, gentlemen. If you kill me, I don't know what I'm going to do.
That's amazing how people come back to that. What they think, they look back on and think is really exciting. You thought maybe it was chaotic, but we have a lot of trouble letting learning become spontaneous and involving some chaos. We have a lot of trouble with that, and we have a lot of trouble with innovation.
So we're gonna close out now, and you know, I'm talking about focus, of course, and confidence, and intolerance, and anxiety, and stiffness, and dulled assessments, and quick responses, and manipulating one's sense of history and well-being. You know, for instance, racism, and I'm talking about nice clothes and factories where they're made, and beautiful stores, and the salespeople's homes, and food, and field hands, and big neat homes, and on TV, and maids, and movie stars. And
some ways to the
one of the things,
art world.
One of the things that, you know, when in the teaching of arts, for instance, let's just say in the using of arts in school, how can you if the kids are not allowed to deal with things that actually interest them, and that includes, bad mouthing you or whatever, that includes taking on authority, then how are they ever going to get to I remember when I was in the 4th grade, I drew a picture of some nuns, and I was so frightened for so long to draw this picture that had been in my mind. And it was such a wonderful release when I drew this picture and the sky didn't fall in,
Friendliness and planning ahead. The more I did it, the less I did it. The less I did it, the more I did it. The concentration on that gave me some illumination on all of that. It's not like or it is like, I don't know. It's staying awake in an ever-growing awakeness, not just sort of where you were before, but this ever blooming, looking for the truth, looking, and that's a satisfaction. That's satisfying. That's